I might be complaining, but like, am I sad? I mean, no. Oscar Piastri is a Grand Prix winner. I've been saying, I remember I said this Qatar 2023 when we were doing the debrief last year, and I said it. Oscar Piastri, you are who you think you are, and now you are a Grand Prix winner.
Through goes Hamilton! You can hear the cheers from Monza!
The mics are on and off we go.
Hi guys, my name is Winnie and welcome to the Wheelspin Podcast, the home of Formula One content and everything motorsport. I hope all of you are keeping fine and ready for this chaotic race debrief. And welcome to our Hungarian Grand Prix race debrief. I'm actually pretty excited to be here, guys. And I feel like let's just get into the meat of everything. So we were out in Hungary, round 13 of the 2024 season. The Formula One season is coming alive. We officially have 7 different race winners at 13 rounds in. Formula One, as we know it, is back. We are back with aggressive team radios. I think I feel like I left this weekend with my relationship more intact than the driver race engineer relationships in Formula One. It was hectic and very uncomfortable. Some conversations, some team radios are very uncomfortable, but some of them I live for such things in Formula One. So I think I'm gonna just take this team by team. I want to quickly talk about qualifying. In fact, let's tackle the team qualifying and where they finished at after race Sunday. Or first, let's do a quick preview of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Hungarian Grand Prix, we race at the Hungaroring. This is Lewis Hamilton's another prime real estate. As I said, Mercedes are arriving at the Hungarian Grand Prix on a high after winning that sensational British Grand Prix. Lewis has won around here 8 times. That's impressive, guys. That's really impressive. So they came here, Lewis, with that whole advantage. Hungary, very short straights. In fact, straights around this circuit are non-existent. So the interesting thing is that the Hungarian circuit, the Hungaroring, was actually designed to mimic the Monaco. So it's mostly referred to as Monaco without the walls. At least the walls are not as on your face or on your car as in Monaco. So yeah. So we expected maybe teams that had done quite well in Monaco to, relatively do well here in Hungary, because even in terms of the needs of the downforce, this is a high downforce circuit. So in terms of the upgrades you're bringing, they're quite similar to what you'd have at Monaco. But then the other biggest thing around the Hungaroring is track temperature. Sometimes it gets so hot. So again, that's something to factor in with strategy. That means you have to know how to manage your tires really well, because they can tend to heat up, and the more they become hot, the more they degrade. And degrade meaning you're not getting enough rubber on the road, and you can be moving all around the track and lose a lot of pace. So yeah, heat is a very big factor in Hungary. And also it was raining. It's crazy. And can I also say, I've said it before, Formula One teams, I don't know, I feel like the Bottas is the king of side quests. Formula One drivers are always doing some random stuff, but one driver, you will always see him doing the most. Think about anything. Think about whatever trend in your head you're thinking right now. Probably Bottas has done it already. So it was very early on before we went even to practice Friday, qualifying on Saturday, and then race on Sunday. The Stick Sauber team were doing the craze. I saw the engine. I don't know. They were just playing funny games. It was raining. Apparently, it was even flooding at the track. So you trust. It's very on brand for Stick Sauber. They're always doing some BS. It's just so fun to watch. I think they're officially the winners of team side quests. They're always doing something. Yeah. So let's quickly, I know all the time people listen to our debriefs. Sometimes we have new fans, we have returning fans, and it's always a good time. Thank you for the returning fans. And if you're a new listener, Welcome. So the Formula One standard weekend starts on a Friday. Friday we get 2 practice sessions where the teams just get to practice really to see if their car is working as it should. And then on Saturday we get one practice session which is called the FP3, and then qualifying session which sets the grid because they have to line up, there are 20 cars, so they have to line up from 1 to 20 on the grid on Sunday. So during qualifying, you set your fastest lap, and then that determines where you'll finish, where you'll line up for Sunday, and then Sunday we race. We go racing for points. So yeah, I want to start with McLaren. I've been talking about McLaren. We have McLaren have arguably the best car on the grid at the moment. Remember, they came into this Hungary weekend. They're only among the top runners that didn't have any upgrade on their car. And see how well they did. They locked out position 1, position 2 in qualifying for the first time since 2012 with Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button at the Brazilian Grand Prix. That is it's taken them 12 years to get back into this graces of them actually lining up so high. And I know we're extending grace to McLaren. McLaren is not a team that has been fighting for wins actively in the present. What am I saying? It's not a team that's been fighting for wins. So we can still be arguing they still don't know how to win races, but at least today they proved they can win a race. So 1-2 was a good qualifying, good brilliant lap, as in it was such an interesting qualifying session really. So position 1 for Lando Norris. He's been here for a while now. He's mastered his race pace. He's mastered his 1 lap pace. So he's actually proving to be a good qualifier, and we already know he's a good racer. So on Sunday he doesn't really struggle so much. Last year, remember, Oscar Piastri is in his 2nd season. He had a very impressive rookie year last year, when that means his first season in F1 essentially. So last year he was very good over 1 lap pace. He struggled with race craft. That means tire management and stuff. So you'd see him falling back a little bit during the races, especially last year, and maybe in some of the early races this year. But right now he's proven he can master his race pace and he can qualify as highly up as he can. So very brilliant, so slay of McLaren, Jesus. So slay of McLaren to be 1-2. Let's talk about their race. So because I think that's why we're here. McLaren had a very good start with Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri got ahead of Lando Norris on that first turn. Impressive stuff. That was really elbows out. I'm gonna go for this. Full send, and he has a commanding lead of the race. It was brilliant stuff from Oscar Piastri at the start. And fair enough, very good at the first stop. The Hungarian Grand Prix at 2-stopper, as in that was a quicker strategy on paper. It's not no one said you couldn't do a 1-stopper. That means stopping 1 time to change your tires. And I want to just on the tire question, because I received a very interesting question. So when I was when we're doing our race strategy preview on Sunday morning before the race we do it mostly on our Instagram page at the Worldspin Podcast. Someone asked okay, why do the drivers now have different available sets of tires? And I like this question. So I want to tell you, every standard, when the F1 drivers coming into every weekend are given the same number of tires. So they get a total of 13 sets of the slick tire. That means the dry tire. So they get 2 sets of hard tire, and then they get 3 sets of mediums, and then they get 8 sets of softs. So remember, that's why I say Formula One sometimes is a very Formula One is very you have to plan. It's a lot of BTS work, a lot of background work that's going on. So coming into a weekend, the engineers, the pit wall, they have to arrange and know this is the amount of tires we're going to use during practice to see how this car reacts or works with this type of tire. And then they also have to plan around qualifying, so that ensuring that they have some sets of tires remaining for qualifying and some sets of tires remaining for the race. So yeah, it's really like it's a game. It's a very, like, you have to be very, very, very organized in Formula One, and that's like what happens with the team. So we went into this race. I think McLaren had like 2 sets of medium tires available to them. The quickest strategies, just like last year, seemed to be you start with the mediums, probably go to the hards, and then the mediums. That seemed to be like the fastest strategy. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about like what happened with McLaren. So McLaren had a very good race with Oscar. And the biggest issue that everyone is, I mean, of course, the talk of the town, whatever everyone is talking about is what happened with McLaren. So McLaren undercut Oscar Piastri, Lando undercut Oscar Piastri. So what that means is that they opted to give preferential treatment to Lando Norris when it didn't even make sense. They said they were covering Hamilton, but then Hamilton was so way back behind Lando, it didn't even make sense. So what an undercut means is that you swap into the pits early on and get ahead of the driver. That means if they pit, they will if the undercut works, they'll come out behind you. So that means you pit early to give you that fresh rubber advantage, and then you get ahead of the driver who was ahead of you. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's called an undercut. So that means, okay, they will have the advantage of having the fresher rubber, but then now you will have track position. So if you pit early on, like if you pit early to cover the driver who's ahead of you, that's called an undercut. Yeah, so that is what happened with McLaren. Was it a wise call? Definitely not. I mean, we are all up in arms. Like McLaren, remember guys, they've not won a race. They've not been in race winning form for so long. So they're probably also confused. They're very confused. And the team radios coming from McLaren were like, oh my God, you see like those annoying messages from like when you promise your younger sibling something, like they will keep calling you, do you remember? Do you remember? Do you remember? So that was it was so uncomfortable. I mean, it was uncomfortable, borderline. Someone said, I think one of the commentators said it is borderline unprofessional, because they were just on call, because Lando, their undercut worked. Lando had a good race pace. He was getting so ahead of Oscar Piastri, and all the time on the radio they're trying to, they want to slow him down, because they've already told Oscar, we're going to swap the positions, because that undercut by pitting Lando fast, that means they lost Oscar Piastri the lead. So they were just on the radio with Lando. It's like threatening him, like, remember, we have Sunday meetings. Is this, it was so awkward. Like, okay, they're telling him, okay, you're going too fast. And he's not even going too fast. The tires were going to last to the end. So it was very like, I don't understand. You had the option of giving preferential treatment to Oscar because he was the lead car. Give him the advantage of the good strategy. But then they didn't do that. And then now they wanted, of course, now they were putting all of this on Lando. So I get why he was so uncomfortable. Like, Lando was like, okay, guys, if you wanted him ahead, you could have, pitted him fast. As in, it was so, I'm like, this was so obvious for everybody. It was so obvious for everybody. So for them to actually not get it, like, right again. But you know what? I might be complaining, but, like, am I sad? No. Oscar Piastri is a Grand Prix winner. I've been saying, I remember, and I say this, Qatar 2023 when we were doing the debrief last year, and I said it, Oscar Piastri, you are who you think you are, and now you are a Grand Prix winner. He's won a sprint race at Austin, but now Oscar Piastri is a race winner. And I'm telling you, I think we need to talk about the importance of just having, I think the secret of also making it quite, like, in Formula One, I think it's one of, like, Oscar Piastri is a success story mostly because, I don't know, he's managed by also like a very good former Formula One driver, Mark Webber. So I think he's doing quite well. It's his second season. He's mastered his race pace as well. So it was not the best way to win, but was it, like, what's that even? Like, what's the best way to win? It's winning. Like, winning is winning. Like, of course, we're going to think about it. Oh my God, should have gone differently, but he won. And I'm so happy for Oscar Piastri. Like, it could have. Okay, it's not the best win to win. It's not the best way to win, but it's also not the worst way to win. Everyone is saying like maybe the radio message after winning was not like all excitement. But come on, guys, this is Oscar Piastri. I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is how he's like. We know him. He's normally very chill on the radio. He's very cool, collected, calm and collected. So if this is his way of celebrating, then that's fine. So I'll say this. That's like my takeaway from this. Like McLaren are still. I think they're still just trying to get the hang of things. But we're giving them. But at least this time they did not fumble. It didn't completely elude them. At least now they fumbled strategy, but at least they were able to protect the 1-2 position 1-2 that they had. They qualified 1-2 and finished the race 1-2. So props to them. Will they probably get it right later? I hope they do, because I would not want to be I wouldn't want to be in the debrief rooms with these drivers, because guys, like this was effectively like mad radio exchanges, like, oh my god, remember. They were gaslighting their drivers. And I think a lot of the team messages during this race were just very chaotic, like very gaslighting to their drivers. That's my thing. I'm not too sad. I'm happy that Oscar Piastri is now a Grand Prix race winner. McLaren could have definitely gone about it a different way for sure, like give preferential treatment or give the better strategy to the car that's ahead. And I thought, that's very straightforward. I really don't know what was happening on that pit wall, but let's see how they get. We still have 11 more races to go. We have Spa coming before F1 goes on that summer break. So in the Belgian Grand Prix, that is. So yeah, let's just continue giving them time. Now they know they have a good car. Let's talk about Max Verstappen. No, who was P3? Okay, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton. Congratulations. Do you know, guys, how crazy it is that Lewis has 200 podiums? Like, that is crazy. I am so proud of him. He continues to show that there are levels to this game, and you just have to keep on pushing. It's so special. It's so special for Lewis Hamilton, and congratulations for him for that. Mercedes has continued a very good form. Mercedes seemed to be coming back. Lewis on that P3, and he had to an excellent strategy calls from Mercedes. They undercut Max Verstappen twice during the stop. Undercutting, which you've said is just stopping early to get track position over the driver who's ahead. So they undercut Max effectively like that, and Max had to do a lot of the work on track. So I think for Lewis Hamilton, steady race. It got to a point where he thought he had pitted early, or the strategy was not going his way. But I think he made it work to a P3. I think the most significant thing was that overtake where Max was. I think we can talk about Lewis's race and not talk about Max Verstappen, because I think they were fighting each other for the better part of the race, really. So the highlight was that it's very reminiscent of Silverstone 2021, when Max was literally on top of Lewis Hamilton's head. Again, Max had qualified P3 and P5. Lewis P5. Lewis had a good start because Carlos Sainz had a very bad start. So I think that moment where Max had come from a very heated exchange on team radio with his team. I don't know what is happening at Red Bull as well. The messages were crazy. Max is one saying, oh my god, I'm trying to rectify your mistakes, you're the ones who put me in this shit. It was wild. The exchanges, the team radios, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It's it was bickering. It's not even bickering. It was straight up gaslighting. The race engineers as gaslighting the drivers. The drivers, they don't want to hear anything about anything. They are so mad. So yeah, that moment. So I think Max made that angry. He was so mad. So, and I think, yeah, people are saying the return of Mad Max. I think we're seeing him under pressure a little bit, and caused by his team, which is, yeah. So I think he made a very angry pass at Lewis Hamilton, and that I felt like he could have just been more patient. He would have gotten ahead of Lewis Hamilton. He had the advantage. He was on very new rubber, so he could have easily maybe, taken that place of Lewis Hamilton. So that angry pass, he locked up going to that corner, so and Lewis Hamilton collected him, from his rear, lifted him in the air, and of course I think he sustained damage. He went off track, Leclerc got ahead of him, and he could not, Max could not catch up Leclerc. So I don't know. I don't think he had a very good race. But we finished P5 for Red Bull. I mean, not the worst positions, but also I feel like he could have even been on the podium if he had just been a little bit calm. But of course, shitty strategy from Red Bull for Max Verstappen, and he was livid. And I don't know. I think things are starting to fall apart in that house. It's very telling. It's very it's showing. The cracks are showing. There's just a bit of there's something. So that was Lewis Hamilton's race. His race was really with Max Verstappen. So brilliant calls from Mercedes as well. And of course, let's talk about George Russell. George Russell had a very unfortunate exit in qualifying. So that meant he was starting the race down in P17, which was quite sad. And this happened because during Q1 there was the track was actually a bit wet. Not wet really, but it had rained, so it was not very hot. So those conditions, Lewis was able to set very good sectors and everything. And then Checo Perez had a moment with the barriers. So he also was, again, the British Grand Prix last weekend. The other weekend, he was out of qualifying in the Q1 hurdle. He said, so Perez was lining up P16 with George Russell behind him. So what happened with George Russell is that he was not at the track at the best time. You're supposed to be oscillating around the track when the track is rubber down and at the best condition, and that's how Bottas was able to get into Q2, because he was at the right place at the right time. And apparently Mercedes had not fueled George enough for doing another lap, so he had to come in, and remember, because of that red flag, there was not so much time. So unfortunate calls from Mercedes. I don't know, George took blame for that, but then I was like, no, why was Mercedes not fueling him, giving him enough fuel to just get to do enough laps? So I mean, but great recovery drive from George Russell, P8. I mean, that's the best he could. He was just really on recovery mode. So good points for him, starting down from P17. Also, let's talk about Perez. Perez is continuously making his life very difficult, crashing out. I mean, that didn't help on our weekend or during times when, his legitimacy or him deserving that second seat at Red Bull is being called into questions, replacement rumors floating around all the time, could we see Daniel Ricciardo, who I don't think should be in that seat really. I don't know why we're not talking about Yuki replacing Perez at Red Bull anyway. So of course there's all that uncertainty around his seat, so, and he's not been having the best form, but I guess I want to say that he had a very good recovery drive as well, from P15, P16 and up to P7, that is not too bad for Perez, but I just feel like he could do so much better. If only he could just solve his qualifying, problems so that he doesn't make his work on Sunday very hard. I mean, right now Red Bull, I don't think they're the fastest, but they're also not the slowest. So, and I think it's just a very marginal differences between them and McLaren. So I don't know why Perez has to be down there. I think the other person, let's talk about Ferrari's pace again. Carlos had a very bad start, but this is the first time, at least, Leclerc seemed to, we've already talked about that incident with Max that allowed Leclerc to get ahead. Some nice, pretty good, I liked that, they undercut Max. That was very good from Ferrari, good with Leclerc. So, good. Again, I think Sainz was, again, in no man's land, this race, but finishing P6 behind Max Verstappen, that wasn't too bad. And P4 for Charles Leclerc. So I think they're starting to, Ferrari had upgrades. They also had upgrades this weekend, but I don't think it did too much for them. I mean, again, they look a bit sluggish, but P4, P6, not so bad for them. I really don't even have anything else to say about them, to be honest. Let's talk about the other top runner, who is Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda is the only driver who executed a one-stopper. And I'm gonna say, executing a one-stopper, that means you are very good with time management. And you know what, Yuki, you are who you think you are. And Yuki, your time is also going to come. You're gonna be a race winner. I believe in Yuki. I believe in Yuki Tsunoda supremacy. I believe in Yuki Tsunoda so much. Like, I think I am a very big fan of Yuki. Yuki, like that whole stint, he did like a whole. I think he did. Yeah, there's a stint he had for like 29 laps, and then the rest like of 29 out of 70 he did on mediums, and then the rest he did on the hards. Like, good strategy that allowed him to finish in the points. That's a P9 position for Yuki Tsunoda. Lance Stroll also, like, I mean, the Aston Martins had good qualifying from, like, they qualified nicely, yes, at least like both cars P7 P8, you know, with Perez and George being the biggest losers of qualifying. That means we could get people to take advantage of that, and that happened to be VCAP qualifying as well, P9, P10. I think Daniel Ricciardo finished out of the points. I don't know, he pitted too early and he was dropped into traffic. There's just something, his race was not the best, finishing to P12, but good qualifying. So Slayer of Aston Martin have been struggling so much, but then P7, P8 for them in qualifying, and then P10 for Lance Stroll, and they also had upgrades as well. So again, another weekend where Lance outperforms Fernando Alonso. I am so sad. Like I keep on saying, Fernando Alonso is still chasing his 33rd win. I'm not saying Fernando Alonso is a good driver, but like I don't think he made the best moves, career moves really. I mean, he retired. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to talk about it, but like, yeah, slay of Lance. Like, good point. They had to work for that. And any point you get in Formula One nowadays, you really have to work for that. I mean, let's talk about Williams. I want to talk about Williams because Williams this weekend, they didn't look too bad. They didn't look too shabby. Yeah. So Albon actually, like, both Albon and Logan Sargent making it into Q2, and I'm so sure, like, Logan actually was very livid after getting out of Q2 because he felt like he had it in him to get into Q3. Like, I love it. I mean, it's unfortunate that we know Logan Sargent is not going to get into the grid like next year, but I don't know. Could fortunes maybe change, but I don't know. Like, good for them. Like 13, 14 in qualifying, but then now in the race, no point for them. Sauber still don't have a point, which is quite unfortunate. I mean, I thought Bottas qualified P12. Like, that was good of him, like, put in a banker. And I hope to see actually, like, Bottas, he's a good driver. He needs to be on the grid next year. So, yeah. I mean, but still no point for them. Oh my God, Alpine, the rain is still hitting them so hard. They're in the gutters. I mean, Gasly was sitting in the pit lane after changing some power unit elements. Remember again, Pierre Gasly had a 50 grid penalty last week at Silverstone because he had taken so many things, and then he had to retire on a gearbox issue last weekend out at Silverstone. And then this weekend he couldn't even finish the race because he retired. He had like a hydraulic issue. Oh my God. It's they're in the gutter. And then I think Ocon P18, it was not good. It was not a good day to be a fan of Alpine or either of their drivers. It was a bad day for the French people. Yeah. And I think that's it for me. Like, I want to quickly just, did any team we didn't, yeah, I think we effectively covered anyone. So I want to quickly just finish this debrief by talking about my B, the honey, and the sting. I think we've not done it like a lot. My B, that's the highlight of this whole race weekend, has to be Oscar Piastri winning the Hungarian Grand Prix. I've said there's no bad way of winning, but like, he won. I'm not complaining. Could they have possibly gone about it another way? Give him preferential strategy for sure, but that's my biggest highlight of the weekend. I'm so proud of Oscar Piastri. Oscar is just in his second year of Formula One, and he is a race winner. This is the first of many. In fact, I'll go as far as saying, Oscar, you can be world champion. You can be world champion. I'm so proud of him and so happy for him. And he's also the first race winner to be born in this century. Oh my God, we're all growing so old, but like, that's impressive stuff. Like, I think Oscar was born some 2000 and something, so I don't know which 2000, but like, impressive stuff from Oscar Piastri. My honey for this weekend is Lewis Hamilton getting his 12th his 200th podium. Like, what a way to get it, Lewis Hamilton. You keep proving to us that there are levels to this game. You keep proving to everybody that as long as you're putting in the work, you are showing up. That's enough. That's enough. It will get things moving. So I'm still always so proud of it. The sting of this weekend has to be the sting. Let me see what really had my feelings. What really was like a sting? I mean, of course, it has to be like the way McLaren handled everything, but that didn't even sting too much. What's down? What's down? Like, there has to be something. Yeah, I think it just has to be the way, like, this whole, like, blanket of, you know, of McLaren not handling this, you know, this situation as best as they could. So yeah, that has to be the sting, because nothing else really like hurt my feelings. I also liked the some special helmets designs, like the porcelain aesthetic designs from Lando Norris and Ocon. They were so cute. I hope we can see them again. I'm hoping I'm not like forgetting anything from this weekend, but that's with it. Wasn't like the most interesting weekend, but also it wasn't the most boring weekend. We now have 7 race winners, so yeah, that's exciting. The championship, I don't think the driver's title could come more alive, but the constructors championship is on. Yeah, that's it from me, guys. We are going to Spa, to the Belgian Grand Prix, before we head into the summer break, and I'm excited. It's race week again. I'll see you in a week. And also, I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up to the live watch party, the watch party we hosted alongside Red Bull. Thank you so much for showing up. We had a grand time, and I'm so appreciative of everybody who took the time to come out. That's it from me, guys. I will see you after the Belgian Grand Prix. You have a lovely week ahead, and you know, keep showing up, keep doing you. That's it from me. Bye, guys.